Everyone just wants to live, laugh, love. But in this disappointing world, there are many who are faced with lies.
He's gonna keep lying.
Are you a swinger? Were you a swinger? Do you think filming this show brought out hostilities in people?
Oh God. I think it's better for people to be apart and be happy than together and toxic. But
Right.
this is like so against what my religion is, but
This is Live, Laugh, Lies.
Mayci Neely, welcome to Live, Laugh, Lies.
thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. I feel like this is so perfect. We're literally in Salt Lake City, home of the secret lives of Mormon wives.
Yes.
If you haven't heard of this show by now, you must be living under a rock. This new reality TV series about a group of Mormon moms is breaking the internet. After their infamous swinging scandal, people can't get enough of the drama that unfolded afterwards. So let's hear Mayci's story.
Growing up in Virginia, being someone that just was never exposed to the Mormon culture,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the nuances to it. And then moving to LA, one of my best friends is Mormon, as we were talking about earlier. So today she's given me like so many things where she's like, okay, here are different nuances. I'm going to mess them all up, I'm sure.
That's completely fine.
The average person that's listening to this maybe doesn't have a background or exposure to your culture, essentially, and your religion.
Yeah.
So I want to give you the platform to really let us know what it is really like living in Salt Lake City, being a Mormon. I want you to take us back to the beginning before Mom Talk existed.
Mm-hmm.
What was your life like?
So I was already doing social media.
Okay.
I started a blog, which is so funny because I think that's so outdated now. But I started one end of 2018 because I think they were still kind of a thing, but not really. And I have like an interesting backstory, like life story, especially for someone who is Mormon.
Interesting.
And so I told a story like week by week on a blog, almost like you'd watch a show, like it was almost like a new episode every week. It's kind of how I framed the outline, just like of my life story, because
Genius.
it is very different. And I feel like for me, it was really freeing to be able to like write it out and like tell people, because when things were going on in my life, like in 2014, 15, there was a lot of rumors about me, especially at BYU, because it's a religious school.
Wow.
And so I told the story on the blog, and that grew like my first 10K on Instagram. So I was like, whoa, like I could like do this as a career. And like I was also working a full-time job at the time. So doing that, working on that, and then COVID hit, right? Everyone joined TikTok. So I was like, oh, why not? I was also doing IVF at the time. And so I was kind of like sad and depressed. And I was
my
like,
gosh.
I'm sad. And then I had this video I've been holding on to for like, I don't know, like 6 months. It was like a funny video of my son hitting a baseball. And he says, you bitch, after he hits it. I don't know why he said it. Like, I have no idea. But like then it shows my husband like putting his hands between. He's like all like disappointed. And I was like, I think it'd just be fun to post it just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And it went viral and it got like 10 million views.
Oh
And
my
like
gosh.
Barstool picked it up, Fifth Year, all those like funny accounts.
Yeah.
And it's my first 60K on TikTok. And I was like, should I just like keep posting? Is this going to be like the new Instagram kind of thing? So that's what I just kept doing. I kept posting during COVID. I worked a full-time job and I'd post TikToks like during my breaks and like just grew it from there.
And that's how Mayci got to where she is today, with 1.4 million followers on TikTok and a star on a Hulu show. But let's take it back a bit.
You're a California Mormon, right?
Yes,
You grew up in California.
Yes.
What was your life like growing up as a Mormon? Were your parents very strict? Were those rules enforced in your household, or was your family a little bit more lenient since you guys weren't like in Utah?
Yeah, they definitely were more lenient compared to Utah Mormon culture, I would say. In California, it's just different. Like, and granted, you'll get people who are more strict in California as well. Like, I grew up, though, like wearing bikinis and tube top dresses to high school dances. And like, I played tennis a lot on Sundays because I was a competitive tennis player. And that's not as traditional in our church. Like, usually it's like, oh, you had to wear one pieces. Like you had to have like a sleeve.
I was going to say, are we breaking the rules right now?
I break the rules a lot.
We're
So
both
we're so bad. So I feel like I just didn't grow up as traditionally. Like my parents, like, they're probably gonna be mad that I say this, but they swore, like they swore. They wouldn't like really drop the F-bomb or anything like that, but they would like swear and stuff. And so I feel like it was a fairly normal childhood too. Like most of my friends weren't Mormon too. Like all my friends were different religions. And honestly, I love that because I grew up, I don't want to say it's not normal if you're growing up in Utah and like you're in this bubble, but it's just different growing up in Utah and having the Utah culture compared to like California. If that
Totally.
makes sense. So yeah, my parents were a lot more lenient. Like we still followed all the major guidelines. Like we didn't drink, didn't smoke, like
Okay.
no sex before marriage. Like all that stuff was definitely like enforced though, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Interesting. And so did you feel like those kind of like core values were things that you did want to abide by? And it was just like, wearing bikinis or playing tennis and having
Yeah.
a skirt on or having your shoulders out? Like, was there a difference in your mind where you were like, these are the things that are like core values I want to align with, and then these kind of things I'm more lenient on?
Yeah.
Okay, so
For
you
sure.
felt aligned with that.
Yeah, like it was like all this other stuff is not a big deal. It's just like living life. And then like other things, like there's reasons why those are in place. Like there's reasons why I think like Mormons don't drink alcohol. Like it's not, number one, it's not great for you.
Yeah,
Number two, you make poor decisions a lot of times,
totally.
So things like that. And like I went through a phase where I drank alcohol and I made a lot of poor decisions. And that's when I realized, wow, like actually it probably isn't great to drink. Like I see why we have this like guideline,
Yeah.
So I think I'm definitely the type of person that has to kind of do and experience things for myself to then like understand. And I definitely did that a lot.
Love that. And I'm curious because I know, I don't know for sure, but like is the Mormon religion considered like Christianity as well?
Yeah, like we believe in Jesus. Like
Okay.
it's the center of our church is Jesus Christ.
Okay, so like from my understanding, it's like you can be forgiven for your sins,
Oh,
correct?
100%.
Okay, so it's not like you're a sinner and you can't like
No.
redeem yourself. Okay.
Like Mormon is like a different branch of Christianity. If I were
Cool.
to explain it, like we believe in the Bible, and like the biggest difference is that, we have the Book of Mormon. And then like so we have different things from that, and then like different things I think for like the afterlife. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
have like we believe in like heaven, but it's just like we have different degrees of heaven and stuff like that.
Interesting. Okay, we're gonna get into that later because I feel like there's different degrees of like Mormon as well. And so
Yeah.
I want to like dive in. But I wanted to ask you about Mom Talk because obviously you started building your own brand on TikTok, on
Yes.
Instagram. So smart to just keep posting. Like I always tell people, I'm like, just do it. Like just post, put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But building on TikTok on your own and then joining this mom group of like, it was 4 of you. You were a part of the original like Mom Talk group, correct?
Yeah. So like before I was like really in it, there was Taylor and then 2 other girls who are on the show.
Okay.
And then like I was brought into like with that group, if that makes sense, like as like the original girls, like in the beginning of Mom Talk. And then it grew from there.
As you guys were doing these TikToks, was it scandalous in your church at the time?
I think it depends on the TikTok.
Okay.
Like I think the fact that we're wearing crop tops and yoga pants was like, people are like, oh, like these girls aren't Mormon, they're showing their skin.
Interesting.
But it's also like, don't you work out in yoga clothes? Like I'm confused. So I think like it was just, we just looked different, I would say, maybe than the traditional Mormon mom. And so I think it caused controversy. It caused people like more eyes on the page, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes videos were captioned a certain way to where like either they were satire or maybe people were like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, and so it really like drew people in.
This is kind of a side note, but everyone in Utah is really hot. Like, this may also be a misinterpretation of your religion, but like, isn't it a belief that your body is like a temple kind of? Like you are supposed to respect your body. And so I've been to Salt Lake a few times for different work projects and I'm always like, excuse me, like
No.
everyone's hot here.
It's true.
Everyone's really good looking. So obviously the 4 of you that started Mom Talk, really good looking,
Thank
like
you.
take care of yourselves, like hot. And then on top of that, like you're Mormon, but you're wearing outfits that don't necessarily align with what your church believes is like appropriate publicly, I guess.
Yes.
So that is a really interesting nuance because like, yeah, I think the fact that you guys were just like these really hot Mormons, like dancing and having fun on TikTok. Did you guys ever talk about your beliefs or your religion?
No,
It was
not
just for
really.
fun.
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, it was more like how I would explain it is like we were all doing our own personal brands. We're all in like our own individual careers, come together for collaboration. And then it also was like community. Like when
Yeah.
you're a mom, sometimes it's hard to find friends. Sometimes it's hard to find people to relate to. And so I think for a lot of us, it was like the community aspect. Now I had these mom friends and they're in the same career and it was like fun.
Yeah.
But we never really talked about religion. But
Okay.
it was
So-
mentioned in the caption of some of the videos though.
Okay.
Mostly for like controversy.
Right. So that's one thing I feel like Taylor is really good at. Like
Yeah.
she knows how to get the attention. She knows how to make a headline. When there is like my name in a headline, good or bad, I am like, my stomach is in my ass. Excuse me for the Mormons that are listening. I know I'm not supposed to cuss, but like
I cuss a lot. So
I'm like, I'm in your city. I should respect, but
no.
but I'm like, my stomach is literally my ass when like good or bad, my name is out there. But that seems like something Taylor is like she doesn't care. It's like,
oh no, she does.
Any publicity is good publicity. Period.
Summertime sadness creeping in, or maybe the heat is impacting your focus? Enhance your everyday with Veya. Veya is a company dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of hemp to create high-quality wellness products. From setting the mood to chilling out after a long day, Veya has something for everybody. With their award-winning THC and THC gummies, Veya has a dosage to encourage your comfort. No need to block off hours of the day for an unproductive high when you can experience the full spectrum of benefits from cannabis and hemp products with a microdose of THC to give you a little boost without compromising your responsibilities. Veya is well renowned for their premium indoor THCA flower, soothing topicals, and calming drops, all crafted within the highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned American farms. The THC flower strains are grown with care and rigorously tested to ensure the highest quality, free from harsh pesticides or nasty chemicals. Veya is constantly adding new strains to the website every week as they're always receiving fresh new strains from their independent farms harvest.
I'm personally really excited for the CBD relief gummies. I've been back in the gym, working out, and I feel like these are perfect for recovery and just feeling your best. I also have another package of the Zen ZBD gummies on the way. Personally, for me, it's just nice to take at the end of the evening and you get an amazing night's sleep.
And the best part, Veya legally ships to all 50 states in a discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. No medical card required. If you're 21 plus, head to veyahemp.com and use code LIVELAUGHLIES to receive 15% off. That's VIIAHEMP.com and use code LIVELAUGHLIES at checkout. After you purchase, they ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you and enhance your everyday with Veya.
These captions that were like drawing people in and like creating controversy, whether it was in the church or online, were people like imposing their judgment on you guys? Like, I feel like one of the things that people kind of like say that is a misinterpretation about your religion is like that it's a cult.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys ran into a lot?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
I think like even before social media, like
Really?
it's always like, oh, Mormons, like it's a cult, but it's not. Like if you think that Mormon is a cult, then like I think every religion would be seen as a
Right.
cult. Like it's a group of people who like believe in something,
Which
know?
is probably fair. Like when you really think about it, I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're all like in some kind of cult.
Yeah, like if you believe in religion and you're religious, then technically like you could be like it could be described as that. But like
Yeah.
I've never obviously see that, because it doesn't feel
Of
like that. You're not like
course.
forced to do anything. It's like
All the moms and mom talk have different levels of Mormon. Some more than others. Do you think it's fair to like rate? Was that something that people do, like to rate like the amount of like Mormon that you actually consider yourself or that you consider your peers?
No, I don't think it's something we would ever normally do.
Okay.
We did it on the show and
Gotcha.
it ended up being like kind of funny, but then I know some people get offended by it,
Right.
because like I think I was like, if this person said they're an 8, then I'm a 12,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like, I think it's kind of funny to joke around about, but no, but I'd say the only thing like growing up that people would say, like no one would ever be like, oh, she's like on a scale, like no one would ever do that. But if you
Mhm.
weren't following the guidelines, people would call you a Jack Mormon. That's like a term, like that's like slang in the church. Like Jack Mormon is like a Mormon who, isn't following all the guidelines. Maybe they're drinking, maybe they're partying, maybe they're like sleeping around. Like they'd
Yeah.
call them like a Jack Mormon.
Okay.
Our good pal Merriam-Webster defines a Jack Mormon as a non-Mormon living in a Mormon community and sympathetic to or on friendly terms with his neighbors.
And then on the reverse, if you have someone who's like, oh, I always say holier than thou, where they're like very Mormon, like
Yeah.
to the T, like they're a little judgy. We call them Molly Mormons. And then Peter
Oh.
Priesthoods, which is so funny. I don't know if anyone's going to understand this, but it's like slang in the
my
church, I
gosh.
guess. Like it's not talked about in the church, but it's like the culture. We'll talk about it.
Okay,
Mhm.
so Jack Mormon is like, you're doing bad.
You're a bad Mormon.
like you're drinking,
Yeah.
you're smoking, you're
Yeah, you're doing like things that are like very against the guidelines.
okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And also, do all of the women that were on Mom Talk consider themselves members of the church?
I think all of them do besides one. I
Okay.
know one of our cast members is considered an ex-Mormon, so she's like left the church.
Did that happen before or after Mom Talk?
before, I believe.
I was just curious. I feel like that's something that people, like maybe possibly the Mormons that do watch this are probably going to be curious. And I don't know if it's like exactly differentiated of like who's still practicing, going to church, going to temple as well, right?
Yeah,
Like,
there's definitely like members in our group who are more devout and then like less devout and then like an ex-Mormon. So you'll kind of get like a flavor of everyone and like where they are on their path in their religion.
Was it super common growing up? Well, you didn't grow up in Utah, but like the other Mormons that you knew, was it common to go through a phase where you drank and you were like less holy? Is that normal?
I don't know. I feel like it's not as typical for Mormons.
Okay.
Like, it just depends. For me, like, I went through that phase in college, which is so funny because I was, like, so innocent, right? Like, when I went to BYU,
And
which
you're at
you
BYU.
think that, like, you would be, no, it's the opposite for me. And that's where I went to, like, my wild phase. And, like, I feel like it was interesting, too, because then you're seeing other Mormons there who are doing it, too. And you're like, oh, well, they're Mormon, they're doing it. So, like, you justify it in your head. So I almost feel like it'd be hard to grow up in Utah for that sense where like growing up in California, if I went to a party where there was alcohol, like all the non-members would never pressure me to drink. They'd be like, oh, she's Mormon, like get that away from her. Like she doesn't, like very respectful.
Wow.
And then I feel like in Utah, it's like, no, like it doesn't matter. Like drink it. Like it's more peer pressure, like from other Mormons who are doing it because they don't want to feel like as guilty, I feel like.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's what I noticed when I like was in that party phase in Utah.
It's understandable. It's probably human nature to like not want to feel like you're alone.
Yes.
And come sin with me. Like if you
literally.
sin, if I sin, you sin, and then we're in this together, we can both pray for forgiveness someday. Have our fun, but like we'll come back to
literally one day.
Yeah, one day, exactly. Get it out of our systems.
Alternate title for this episode, Come Sin With Me. But let's get to one of the main reasons Mayci is here today. She has a lot to share about living, laughing, and dealing with lying.
You seem to be very like Switzerland.
Yeah.
While on the show. Like that was something I noticed even in the first few episodes. Like you were just so sweet. Like,
well, thanks.
Yeah, just very kind, supportive of your friends. Was the group always kind of that hostile towards each other? Or do you think like filming this show like brought out hostilities in people?
I think filming the show brought out like hostilities. And I say that it's not like people were doing things for camera. I say that because I was like, oh, we're all great. Like we're all friends. But I think people had things deep down inside them that they were upset with someone else about that they didn't really talk about until the show. Like you have to be more vulnerable. It brings out things that like you have to talk about that maybe you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so I think that the show brought it out, but it was always there just under the surface.
It also felt like a lot of time passed like while the show was being filmed. And it was like confusing at times because I feel like some people were like, we're not really friends. Like we don't really have this strong connection. And like it just seemed like there was like miscommunication in the group.
Yeah.
How often do you guys like see each other? Or do you have to just like, do you make a point to get together and it's not as frequent as people might think it is?
Yeah. Like if we do like mom talk videos, we have to like make a point to like arrange a day, arrange someone's house, like who's hosting, what are we wearing? Like it's more of like, I want to say production, but like there's more that goes into it, right? But like we'll still hang out. Like I think a week ago we went to Jesse's house to the pool and we all hung out at the pool. So like there's certain times where we'll just hang out and like for fun. Sometimes we'll hang out like for business, you know?
Yeah.
Like and then I think all of us will branch out with certain people you're closer with and do like a double date or like you know, hang out just the two of you and stuff.
And how long have you been married?
6 years.
6 years.
A little over 6.
So how old were you when you got married?
23.
23. Okay, so you're like right there. You're right there in it. Like that's pretty typical for people that are a part of the church, correct?
Yeah. I feel like even 23 is like in the church is like on that border of like, I'm not even kidding. Like, cause I feel like in Utah, people get married at like 19, 20, 21, 22. Like,
wow.
You know, like, well, 23 too, but like even like 24, 25, people are like, oh, why aren't they married yet? Like, what's wrong with them? Which is so weird to me. I'm like, we're all so young. Like, I hope my kids don't get married like super young. Like, live a little bit. Yeah.
I'm like 31 and feel like a teen bride. No, I'm not married or a bride, but I'm like, I feel so like not ready sometimes because even though I want to be, but it's like, even if I look back at the person I was dating when I was 19, oh my gosh. No. Thank God I didn't marry that person.
Your brain isn't even developed till you're like 26.
Literally. I think mine's still in the process.
No, right?
Still loading.
I feel like you just learn so much that like, even looking back, I'm like, oh, I actually did get married pretty young. But like, I would not want to get married super like 19, 20, no offense to those who do, because like, I also feel like their divorce rate in Utah is kind of high because people are getting married so young. They don't know this person. They're saving themselves for marriage. They want to have sex, and then they get married, they do it, and they realize, oh, wait, like, I don't know this person as well as I thought I did.
Yes.
You know?
That's so interesting.
That's my opinion. People may not like that, but that's how I feel. I'm like, this is probably so against what my religion is, but I rather my kid have sex before marriage and wait to get married, in a sense that, like, you don't want to get married young and then you're divorced a year later and have all this trauma and stuff. If that's the issue and you just want to have sex, like,
Yeah,
figure it out. Like, I don't know. I feel like marriage is such a commitment
totally.
that, like, why are we, like, just rushing it, you know? Like,
Preach.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm with you 1000%. Like,
Yeah.
I would say, but my belief system doesn't like is not unaligned with that. So I'm like,
Yeah.
easy for me to say, same. I'm like,
Yeah.
have your sex. Like,
Yeah.
do what you got to do, because marriage, not only is it like a personal, religious, cultural commitment, it's like legal.
Yes.
And with that comes so much, like thousands of dollars of lawyer fees if you want to if you want to get divorced, figuring out like how assets are going to be divided, possibly having kids, and like,
and that makes it so hard. We have kids too all of a
so
sudden.
hard.
It's so hard. And like, I'm not saying like telling my kids like, oh, go run off and have sex with everyone. No,
Yeah.
I don't want that either.
Yeah,
It's
of
more
course.
just like, I'd rather you not get married this young if that's why you're doing it. You know, if that's why you're
Yes.
wanting to get married.
I was curious, and you kind of mentioned like a lot of there maybe it's a higher divorce rate in Utah. Is that against your religion? Is that controversial?
No, I mean,
Really?
divorce isn't against our religion. Like,
Uh-huh.
we believe families are forever, right? But like,
Oh.
it's like, if you're unhappy and you're in a bad marriage, like, yeah. And then they're not like, yes, go get divorced. But it's like, they
Yeah.
want you to figure it out, right? And see if you can make it work. But if it's toxic, like, it's like, yeah, get divorced, you know?
Wow.
It's not
okay.
any different, I think, than other religions. I don't know if
Okay.
there's other religions who are very against it or not, but
I don't know exactly either. I feel like I dated a Catholic guy, and I feel like it was pretty taboo to like get divorced. And I remember thinking like, what a horrible sentiment. Like,
Yeah.
not that people should want to get married and get divorced, but like, if you're in a horrible relationship, then you shouldn't stay in it for the sake of
Exactly.
like pissing off your church.
yeah. And
You
even
know?
like, if you had kids in that marriage too, it's like, do you want your kids to also like see that growing up? You know, I just feel like it's so
Absolutely.
complicated. I think it's better for people to be apart and be happy than together and toxic. But that's just
Right.
my opinion.
You were in a relationship with a narcissist, and
Yes.
you've really strong feelings about controlling men.
Yes.
Okay, I'm curious, and agreed. Like,
Mhm.
this show, we talk so much about weirdos that
Yeah.
are like trying to manipulate, cheat, lie to women. Like, there's
Yes.
a
No.
lot of that, and it goes the other way too. There's women that do the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just happen to be a woman, so I think my audience, like, that resonates with them. So we've had a lot
Yeah.
of that on. Was the person that you were dating that was a narcissist, were they Mormon as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And did they at any point use their religion to enforce that manipulation and narcissism on you?
So, not necessarily, because this person wasn't really following the guidelines. The only
Okay.
time they did, where it was like, oh, we're already doing stuff like physically. So, like,
Mm.
drinking and partying isn't much worse. Like, if you look at the guidelines, if you look at this in the church, you know?
Okay.
So, when I got into like my wild phase, it was like a lot of the influence of the boyfriend I was seeing. And
Okay.
besides being a narcissist, he was very abusive. Like, it was very bad, the entire relationship. And so, I definitely have a really hard time when I see red flags with my friends' spouses or partners,
Mhm.
or even if they're starting to control them, or, you know, stuff like that. It really, like, I think it's more than just like me. I'm like a very protective friend, but it's also very triggering.
Dakota might be one of those people. Mr. Dakota.
Yeah, we've had some issues, me and
Yeah.
him, for sure. I
Okay.
do think he's been working on things since then. You know, it's like a lot of the issues that we have is because of like their relationship. So he's
Okay.
annoyed with me, right? Because I'm like butting in, but I'm annoyed with him because I'm like, treat her right, you know?
Literally. Taylor mentions all the lies multiple times within this series.
Mm-hmm.
Was there more than the night he may or may not have slept with Jenna?
So before they were even officially dating, it's actually funny. She called me. I was in California, and she's like, hey, I'm starting to see this guy. You know him? Because she told me about him before. And she said, but I caught him in like a few lies. And I was like, Taylor, if this man is lying now before you're officially together, he's going to keep lying. Like, it doesn't change. And she ignored me. Taylor's the one who loves to like ask for advice, but then not take it.
Yeah.
And so like that, you know, but I do think like their relationship was really rocky, right? And
Yeah.
like, I wasn't a big fan of him. I would say over time, I've warmed up a little bit to him. I was
Okay.
able to witness one of their fights. And I was able to see where he was coming from, and I was able to see where she was coming from. And it's almost like they're hitting a wall right in the middle every single time. And so I think I realized that when I saw them fight, I was like, okay, but like they're both like hurting, you know? And I know they're just trying their best now. So I really hope like they have a baby together. I'm really hoping it can work out and that, you know, I'm not a hater anymore. I was for a minute. And now they have a baby together, and it's like I want them to succeed. I want them to be happy, you know?
Of course.
That's my hope for them, you know?
I feel like it gets to a point in a lot of like friendships where you see your friend like be like they're in a bad situation. And you can also recognize like when your friend is messing up as well. Like I have so many instances where I'm like, this guy's not treating my friend right. He's an asshole. Like this is not cool. Like, and I want to be really opinionated, but then when you do get insight into like low-key the toxic stuff your friend is doing, you're like oh, like maybe they bring it out in each other. And doesn't make it right on either side. But I think it does get to a point, especially if they have a kid and they're trying to make it work. Like if she's deciding I'm going to be with this guy, at the end of the day, like the best thing you can do is be like, okay, well, like let's help y'all heal.
Yeah, that's what I want to try to do now. I think I was trying to do that for a second, you know, when they were fighting. And like, I really like want to see them succeed.
That's so nice.
But yeah, and I'm just glad that Taylor, when they were going through like the really hard stuff, that she was able to come to me, because I feel like when you are in a relationship that maybe is toxic, it's hard to tell your friends because you don't want your friends to not like this person, right? And she was so straight up about it and like, he's doing this and he's doing that. And so I'm like, well, what do you expect? You think I'm going to love him after I hear all this? I'm like, what does he expect? Like, you know, like, So I'm like, you can't be upset that, you know.
Absolutely. I think I'm actually so glad that she did confide in you, because I do think people start to lie to their family and friends, and then they start to feel really isolated. And like
that's what I did. So that's why I'm like, I was so happy that she would tell me stuff. And granted, completely different situation. Dakota's nothing like the guy I was with. But like she's telling us, you know, and I feel like that's hard in any relationship, even if it's not insanely toxic. If you see red flags and you're telling a friend, I feel like that's so good. Because like
you're being honest with yourself.
You're being honest, and like you're being honest with yourself and your friends, and then like you're taking that advice, you know. And I think that's a hard thing to do because you want everyone to like who you're dating, right?
And I think a lot of times we date people and we run into issues, and sometimes people do crappy things, and sometimes we do crappy things. And you make that up with your partner. Like there have been a lot of things that I've reconciled, even in my most recent relationship, where I've had to like really own what I've done or said, or even like my impact versus intent and stuff like that. And it's like at the end of the day, you have to reconcile that. But like if he goes and says things poorly about me to his family or friends, or vice versa, they may not accept it because they're not going to be there for those conversations where you make the mending happen.
You gotta love the honesty. And speaking of honesty, Mayci created a space on Instagram for just that, where sinners can come clean. What a great idea. What could go wrong?
Okay, so I want to hear more about Sinner Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds fun.
It is so fun.
Sinner Sunday sounds like a country thing that we would do back home.
Sinner Sunday. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Buckle up, baby. That's like how it is. It's crazy.
Okay, what is the juiciest sin that someone has confessed to you?
Oh my gosh, there's like been some really creepy ones. So where you're like, okay, this person needs jail.
You're like too far.
Yeah. Like I set up a hidden camera and I'm like spying on this girl. I'm like, wait a second, like this, whoa, hello.
What?
And I can't see who they're from. Like it's anonymous.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I've gotten ones like that. I got this crazy story. Hopefully I can remember like exactly what it was. It was like crazy. And this girl, it was so cool because then like the next week she had like an update, which was so fun.
I love that.
Because we only do it once a week. I'm hoping to like expand it and start making content for the page because it's only on stories right now, but I'm hoping to turn it into more, right?
You have to.
This lady told a story about her sister-in-law. So her sister-in-law she found out that her sister-in-law's baby was from the other brother. So there's two brothers, one sister-in-law. She's married to one brother, has a baby with the other one, but this brother thinks that it's his baby, and she confesses that it's not. So she's like hooking up with her brother-in-law, basically.
And he got her pregnant.
Yes, and then, you know, now there's family issues because...
Yeah, are they still together? Do you know?
I don't know. I forgot what the update was. I think like they finally like confessed and like, yeah, like there's like all this family drama. If I could go back and find it, I would have to. But like it was crazy. Like
That's a
this crazy family ties of like stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, that is so wild. Also like a nightmare to
No, like a straight nightmare.
Yeah.
But like the juiciest gossip I didn't think would ever happen. You
I
know, like
love
you would never
that.
think that would be a real story.
Right. Thank
Just
God for Sinner Sundays.
Crazy. Yeah, no, and it's like that like every week. I'm like, where are you guys coming from? Because so it was on my personal Instagram and I kept getting all these bans. Like I don't know why, because it was like inappropriate. I don't know. So I got all these like bans. No, like literally. And then so I literally had to move it to a separate Instagram account, which I'm glad I did, because now it has its own personality and like has its own flavor. And now I don't get any penalties. I'm like, I don't know why Instagram hates me on my personal account, because I said the word bikini and it got taken down. So like I feel like I have to be so censored. And even on Sinner Sunday, I like censor like most everything so I don't get penalties.
Wow.
Like I use emojis. We use different words for different things to like try to, you know, make it work. But it's juicy. So tune in every Sunday because it's fun.
I love that.
And it entertains me.
Yes.
And there's some dirty
wild
stuff. People
stuff.
like trying to come after my husband. I'm like, back up. Like I just don't respond to them anymore.
Wait, what do you mean come after your husband?
Just like
interesting.
They want to do dirty things to him. Just put it that way. Like very descriptive too. Like the things I'm reading, I'm like, gosh, damn. Like this is crazy. I'm like, I don't do that.
You're like, I'm taking note over here. I'll use this later.
Write that down later.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
No, that actually has to be such an interesting dynamic, is having obviously your husband, like you're the star, but like your husband is like, you know, an attractive guy. Like it's so crazy when you put yourself out there publicly. Like it is wild to me, like dating a guy that is also, or having dated a guy that's also too, that are in the public eye. Girls don't care.
Oh no.
They slide into the DMs.
Not at all.
Are you single? Okay, well, let me know when you are. It's like weird,
just crazy.
Weird stuff. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes they want them because you have them. You know?
Yeah, it
like,
probably proves
part
to
of
themselves.
it. You know.
Yeah, they're like, oh, if I can get him, then I'm on the same level as that girl.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Newsflash, he's mine.
Newsflash.
I don't like to share.
I love it. Okay, wait. Are you a swinger? Were you a swinger?
No.
Okay.
No way. Like I said, I don't like to share.
Okay.
No, I would never do that. No offense to Taylor. I just could never imagine doing that.
Yeah, I have a friend, distant-ish friend, and they opened up their marriage for swinging, and it went downhill fast.
Here's the thing. I feel like even Taylor would probably back me up on this. Anyone who starts that path and they decide they want to swing is because their marriage is already on the rocks. And it's like, oh, maybe this will save it. But it usually dumpster fires after that, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
You know, even in Taylor's group of friends, like I think when they swung, like most everyone got divorced. So, I mean,
my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like this person I know as well. They broke up and it ruined it. And I can't say it ruined their marriage, because you're right. There probably was an element to like, how do we navigate this marriage? And then they opened it up, and then the thing that I noticed though, and that is that they had set rules, which this might ring a bell.
Yeah.
They had set rules. The husband broke the rules.
Because he went too far with someone.
So they weren't supposed to like seek it out. Like it was supposed to be like, if you met somebody when you're out with your friends, and like it was like an organic whatever.
Yeah.
He was like on the apps, going like seeking people out, like meeting up with people, and which like it's all kind of like unusual anyway. So, but I think it's true. Like if you set boundaries and then
those are broken.
They're broken. Like you're losing trust.
And I feel like that's bound to happen when you're like hooking up with other people. Like it's just, someone's gonna catch feelings. I feel like it's just natural when you're being intimate with someone. Like, yeah, I mean, I can't speak for all swingers. I'm just basing off what I've heard with people and their experiences.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for not wanting to cook for myself, and sometimes that means I fall victim to overpriced and disappointing takeout, and it's so bad that it really should be criminal. And thanks to Cook Unity, I don't have to worry about that crime any longer. With bad, overpriced food on the rise, Cook Unity can get you the satisfaction of culinary justice. These killer meals are crafted by award-winning chefs delivered straight to your door at affordable prices. I personally ordered the seared shrimp and quinoa bowl along with the lemon rosemary chicken. My experience was super positive. These meals were delicious, nourishing, filling, and left me feeling hopeful that I wouldn't have to rely on myself or bad takeout to enjoy a high quality meal. Andres Mendez was the chef that prepared my most recent meal, and it's safe to say that the chefs you see on TV at these 5-star restaurants are incredible at what they do, and these are some of the chefs that are going to be making your Cook Unity meals. Their roster of all-star chefs include those from Food Network and acclaimed restaurants, and their expertise is balancing flavor and nutrition through small batch meals sent fresh, not frozen. There's no cleanup or meal planning on your end. Meals are delivered fully cooked and heat up in as little as 5 minutes. It's a flexible, commitment-free subscription so you can skip deliveries or cancel at any time. Enjoy restaurant-quality meals for a fraction of the price, with subscriptions that start at as low as $11 per meal. So don't fall victim to bad food. By using Cook Unity, food is affordable, crafted by award-winning chefs, delivered straight to your door. So go to cookunity.com/livelaughlies and enter code livelaughlies before checkout for 50% off your first week. That's 50% off your first week by entering livelaughlies or going to cookunity.com/livelaughlies. Have you ever thought you could snack your way to a better brain? Well, with Fungies, you actually can. These gummies are like tasty little treats that also support your mental clarity and focus. And whenever people come over to my house, I make them try each flavor. And I say flavor, but really I should say each supplement. These are the perfect blend of taste and effectiveness, designed to help focus, memory, health, mood, and overall brain health. Lion's mane mushrooms have been recognized for their potential cognitive benefits, including to help improve memory, boost and focus, and even promote mental clarity. Now, let's be real. Taking supplements can feel like a chore, but Fungies can change that because they're basically like gummies you get to look forward to. It's like treating my brain to a healthy little snack. There's really no unpleasant taste or complicated routine. You just pop a couple of gummies in the morning or at night if you're looking for a little sweet treat, and you're good to go. The gummies are gluten-free, they're vegan-friendly, and made with clean and natural ingredients. They're free from artificial dyes and junk, so that makes them perfect for the entire family. So if you're ready to give your brain a boost, you can find these in the vitamin section at your local Walmart for less than $10, or conveniently shop on their website at eatfungi.com and enjoy free shipping and 20% off with Live Laugh Lies. That's EATFUNGIES.com.
Let's get into the swinging scandal that like broke the internet.
Yeah.
I remember when this like happened. It feels like a distant memory because it was like 3 years ago or 4 years.
It was 2.5, I think.
Okay, when it was
like
released.
May 2022, I want to say.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Around
okay.
there.
May 2022. Okay. So did you know Taylor was going to go live and reveal these secrets? Did anyone know?
No. I didn't. Okay, so it's so funny because we didn't know that she was a swinger. Like, we didn't know she was doing that.
Oh, y'all didn't even know?
No. I had a theory, though. And
Okay.
this is so funny. I always tell this story. But, like, a month before the scandal broke out, I was hanging out with, like, Whitney and Michaela. They're on the show. I was doing, like, a girls' night at my house. And I was like, you guys, I have this theory. And don't say anything because I want to start, like, a rumor. I want this to turn into a rumor. But I'm like, I kind of feel like they're swingers. Like, Taylor. Like, and, like, maybe the other two girls she was hanging out with. I'm like, I feel like they might be swingers. And I was like, had this whole theory down. And lo and behold, they were. Well, not all of them. But, like,
Yeah.
Taylor was. And so I was just, like, kind of what she was posting when she'd do these, like, little parties at her house. I'm like, this is interesting.
Something's not right.
Yeah, this is giving kind of like college frat house a little bit. Like, I don't know, like hookup thing. Like, is what was
Yeah.
kind of what I was like seeing on her stories is what made me feel like. I was like,
Okay.
why do I feel like they're swinging? But then they're so young. I feel like people usually swing when they're like in their 40s.
Right.
Like, isn't that more traditional?
The
Like,
upside down pineapple. Like you're
yes.
on vacation. Yeah, like
Yes.
that's
I heard it's common on cruises.
I could so see that.
Yes.
I did my first cruise this year and there was a man in a thong speedo bikini in the hot tub with us and I was like, you'd be down.
There's like a pineapple on it.
Yeah, literally. It was like a pineapple like string bikini that he was essentially in and I was like, you would definitely swap with me and my
Yeah.
boyfriend right now.
Yeah. There's like weird things even in Utah. Like, from what I know, there's actually like I don't say a good amount of swingers here, but there are swingers in Utah.
Really?
And I heard at this certain Costco. I don't know what Costco it is in Utah, but if you have a pineapple in your cart on like a Wednesday, apparently you're down to swing. I don't know if this is true, but that's what I heard. Isn't that funny?
I might have to extend my trip. I'm not even in a relationship right
just
now.
to
But
spy, like,
yeah.
or even just to like see what's going on.
I'm just going to put the pineapple in my cart
and see what happens.
And like look for eye contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be like an experiment.
Yeah.
That would be funny, actually.
That's crazy. Maybe I'll film it. Maybe I'll get like hidden
film it
cameras.
like a hidden camera.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's
It's not
juicy.
weird.
Oh my God. Okay. So maybe Utah is like a swinger state. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like there's certain places, not to get off topic, I'll just say
No,
one
I
last
love
thing.
it. No, I
Apparently
love
in
it.
Draper, Utah, it's known to have a lot of swingers.
What is it? Draper?
Draper is like a city in Utah.
Okay.
And then this treehouse gym is apparently known for swingers. I don't know. This is just what I'm hearing. These are not facts. I'm just hearing these things.
Juicy.
Very juicy.
Whether it's fact or fiction, you heard it here first. But let's get back to the scandal, shall we?
Did you feel like you got looped into this swinger thing when it went live? Like, obviously you weren't like named, but like, did you feel like people were looking at you too?
In the beginning, like not really. I was
Okay.
like the first 2 weeks, I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. I was like, what is this drama? I like downloaded Reddit for the first time. I didn't know like what it was. And I was like trying to figure out what was going on, you know?
Yeah.
And then after a couple weeks, I was like, okay, like I'm good. Like I'm over this. Like it was like draining because then all the comments are coming, you know, old videos that you made that were completely innocent are also like, wow, this all makes sense, you know, like
Misinterpreted.
yeah, like people were misinterpreting videos that you've made and different things like that were all like satire or like a joke, you know?
Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay. And then like, you start getting DMs on Instagram of couples wanting to swing. And I'm like, oh, okay. So people really do think I'm a swinger. Like to this day, I still get DMs with couples that want to swing, but they're like serious. It's like my wife and I are very interested in. I'm like, no.
Like, thank you, but no.
Yeah. So I always in the beginning was funny. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then like after a couple weeks, I'm like, okay, like this is getting old.
Yeah.
But it didn't like affect me like a ton, you know? Like it wasn't like, you know, too crazy for me.
Do you feel like the other girls in the group felt similarly, or do you think that I got the sense that some girls were really like pissed at Taylor for this?
I would say all the girls that are on the show weren't really pissed at Taylor.
Okay.
Girls who aren't on the show, yeah, more so. There was like a lot of drama behind the scenes, you know, people threatening legal action, you know, leaving group chats and different things like that. So I honestly felt bad for Taylor because I was like, people are being so mean to her, like online, but also like behind the scenes. And that's kind of how we got closer, me and Taylor, was like because of the scandal, you know, like we hung out like a couple times outside of Mom Talk before the scandal, but like I didn't really know Taylor very well until like after the scandal. And she told us everything. And I was like, I love that she's just like honest and like authentic and she's like not lying to our faces like some of the other girls were. But
well, I want to like petition for the other girls that are mad to join the show next season. I'm like, bring them on. Bring on the heat. Because I imagine it would be really hard. Do you feel like there's been any pressure from the church like on you specifically, like just being a part of the show? Do you feel like there is like negative vibes, or like are you feeling the heat right now?
Oh, I'm definitely feeling the heat.
Okay.
A lot. Yeah. Like I literally made a video basically saying like everyone's saying we're not Mormon. I'm Mormon. Like I have a temple recommend, which is basically saying like you're worthy to go in the temple.
Yeah.
I have a calling in the church. Like I teach 5-year-olds like about the gospel and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's funny that people are on here saying I'm not Mormon when I definitely am, just because I'm wearing, you know, clothes that maybe don't look like I'm Mormon doesn't mean I'm not, and because I'm a part of this show, you know.
Interesting.
So people are kind of judging a book by its cover right now, and I think a lot of people who are LDS are like trying to put out fires, like like what's happening?
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's not what it looks like, I guess, in the trailer. It's not all what it looks like.
Right. I think that's a big element. Is like when I saw the trailer, I was like, everyone's swinging, like everyone's
crazy. Like what is this show?
Yes. And the show is so good and so juicy, and you learn so much. But I will say in the trailer, I thought everyone was swinging, and I'm like, oh, they're like really opening up their lives. This is going to be wild. Like, and so I understand the criticism of people, and not even just the criticism, but like the fear. Because again, like my good friend back in LA who's Mormon, she was like, she's so open-minded in general, like as a person. Obviously she lives in LA, so she's like really excited for the show, but she also hears the rumbling, and she's like, and she understands how reality TV works. But she hears the rumbling from the church, and it's like very controversial. I think people who are members of the church maybe feel in general in life misrepresented.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of criticism and judgment on the Mormon culture.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I feel like even before the show, I feel like you get a lot of hate being
Right.
LDS, which is so interesting to me. Like,
Yeah.
I posted a video, I was like 4 months ago, making a giant meal for a family who was in need, because that's what I say I do love about the church is that there is, although the community can be harsh sometimes, there is community. Like, whereas like if you're in need or you have a baby, like you'll have a meal brought to your house every day, like for the first like week or two, which is so nice. Like they're
sweet.
very about community. If someone's in need or maybe they don't have enough money to like feed their family, like you'll be taken care of. And that's like what I really love. And there was a family in our church who was in need, and so I made like a whole meal and like made a video about it. Like that's what I love about our church is that it's community, you know. Oh, I got destroyed for being like Mormon. Like I'm doing good deeds in the video, but it's like a lot of people don't like people who are Mormon. I have no idea why, but
that is really interesting because every Mormon I've ever met is actually so sweet.
Yeah.
Like genuinely too. It's not a facade. And I think that maybe people are intimidated by, I don't know, like maybe it's like a perception of like self-righteousness, which I'm sure like you've experienced like with people being like, oh, I'm more Mormon or less Mormon or whatever. Like I'm sure that is an experience that you can relate to feeling. But yeah, every Mormon I've ever met has actually been, and I know that there's good and bad people everywhere.
Yeah,
but I'm like really sweet. And I will say like just learning what I have learned about the Mormon religion, like there's a lot of like the community aspect is so important because there's a huge emphasis on community service, right?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. Like if there's a natural disaster, like our church helps, you know. Like we pay a 10% tithing off of our wages, but like that money goes like to natural disasters.
Wow.
It goes to like we have like a food pantry to help people who can't afford meals. Like it goes towards a lot of things like our temples, our churches, like stuff like that. So it's not like, oh, like they're taking the money. It's like, no, they're actually like taking that money and putting it back out, you know, with like for different people.
That's interesting because I forgot about that. So everyone that's a member of the church, you have to give 10% of like everything you make, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're making millions, you're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to the church. And that's the expectation by being a member, right?
Yeah. I mean, like some people don't pay it, you know, but if like you want to be a worthy temple recommend holder, you're supposed to pay the tithe.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like you're paying your tithe like to God, right? Like it's to just like how they would back in the olden days, right? Like people would do like sacrifices to show their devotion to God. Like, and for us, it's like we do a tithe.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're in a marriage with somebody, you're a member of the church and you're swinging, that's a decision that you make with your partner. Is that frowned upon by God? Like, do we know?
I mean, I would say so.
Yeah.
Because like you're stepping outside of like the covenant you made to that one person.
Okay.
Yeah. Because in the temple, we make certain covenants to like be with this person for time and all eternity. And so like you're like there's a lot of respect that comes with like you and your partner, and like you're not supposed to step outside at all.
Because I was thinking through it and I'm like, technically like it's not cheating.
Yeah.
You know, but it's maybe just also not aligned with the
definitely not in the church.
Okay. I'm curious what your ultimate goal is with your platform and just like participating on the show. What do you hope to achieve? And like, where's your heart at with this?
Me even starting social media to begin with, my whole goal was to tell like my story because it is different and I wanted to inspire people and I want them to know to like never give up and like they can do anything they set their minds to. And so that was always my goal with social media, and that's why I started it. And it still is ultimately my goal at the end of the day. Like, but you know, as it turns into a career, you know, you want to make money, like you want to be successful. And I think that's my goal, is just to be able to provide for my family and have financial freedom at the end of the day. And I want to write a book one day. And so I hope I can do that and maybe even start a podcast. We'll see.
I will definitely read your book and I will listen to your podcast. Yes. Absolutely. I was going to ask you, like, what's next for you? Obviously you have to see how season 1 does, but like, will you sign on for season 2 based on your experience so far?
Yeah, I definitely would. And also I was going to add, besides that, I started a business while filming this show.
Oh my gosh.
And I totally forgot to mention that that's also part of the goal, is to expand my business.
What is your business again?
It's called Baby Mama. We're a natal nutrition company, but we do gummies for each stage of like motherhood. So like we have a fertility gummy, a pregnancy gummy, a postpartum gummy, and they're like all natural, vegan, all the things. But they're like specifically formulated for like where you are at in your journey. Because when I was going through IVF and different things, there wasn't something like that for me at the time. And I don't really love taking pills. So I was like, I like having a gummy because like a little treat, you know?
Same.
Yeah, I should have brought some for you today.
Oh my gosh. No, I'll go order some. I'll buy some.
Because you can take Fertile Mama. Like I tell everyone, like, well, I'm not trying to get pregnant.
Because
like,
your hair, right?
yeah, well, that has all of like, it's almost like you would take a multivitamin, but it has chasteberry in it, which is like, it's supposed to promote fertility, but additionally, it's supposed to be good for PMS. So like mood swings, irritability, breast pain. I'm so bummed. I'm such a ding dong. I should have brought that for you.
Oh my gosh, no, I will go buy it because I want to support because I love that you're doing it. It's so on brand for you as well.
It's
like
just fun.
It's fun. The name is fun. Like the fact that it's a gummy. I love a gummy vitamin.
Oh, same.
Literally.
Oh it's a treat at the end of the night.
It's such a treat.
I'm like,
right?
I look forward to eating them at night. Like, because I honestly pills get like stuck in your throat. I'm like,
yeah. I love that.
From helping strangers with their sins on Sundays to supporting women along their pregnancy journey, Mayci is an incredible human being. Could she even have regrets? I guess we'll find out.
We do a segment called Live, Laugh, Lie. So I want to ask you, pertaining to your experience on Mom Talk, if you could live that part of your life again, what would you do differently, if anything?
I would say, I don't know why I would want to say this, but like be more sure of myself. I think when I first joined Mom Talk, I was so intimidated. Like it may not look like it, but I was kind of like, oh, like I don't belong here. Like, I don't know. I was like worried. I don't know. I think just seeing like very like confident, powerful women who like don't care, which is actually like my personality, but I feel like I just was scared to show it online. Yeah. And I think it showed a little bit in my content in the beginning. And I just like, you know, wish I owned it more.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's great advice for anyone listening in general. Like just own it.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything that makes you laugh when you look back at this whole story of the past few years?
I'll just tell like one random story. So like the night that Taylor came over, right? And she told us the whole swinging scandal. Like, so it was me, Michaela, and Whitney. Tells us this whole story. It was like 3 hours long. We're just trying to get all the information, like what's going on. You know, and then after it was like, oh, like should we just like go do like let's just go like make some TikToks. Like it's like very serious. Like, let's just go make some TikToks. We'd go to the car wash and do that car wash trend where you'd clean your car. And I think a small clip of it is in the trailer. And my hood on my car got dented. There's like 4 different spots that are completely dented. They would not come out.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And literally like a month ago I was at a baseball game and I think this guy thought the baseball hit my car. He was like, you got a dent on your car. I was like,
You're like,
there's a few from the baseball.
Check it out on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm like, this is my at. Just kidding.
Wait, that is so funny.
Yeah.
Isn't that great with content? It's like people never know what you're going through. And it's like she just confessed this wild secret to you guys. And you're like, let's go film some sassy TikToks.
Did a little TikTok, went to Taco Bell.
Yes.
And called it a night.
I love that. Okay, what is the worst lie you've ever told?
Oh God.
I know or juicy.
This is hard because I feel like I don't want to be like, I'm not a liar. Like, but I
respect it though.
Okay, the biggest lie I told, because like I swear like I did a lie a lot between 2013 and 2015 when I was going through my party phase at BYU because like I was at BYU, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest lies I was telling was that I wasn't like partying, I wasn't drinking, like to my parents, like because I almost got busted a few times. I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, you know what I mean? I got like pretty good at the white lies back then, but I feel like since then I've been we're chilling. When I had stuff to hide, I had to lie. But that was kind of for my own protection. So
that's actually a really good point. When I had stuff to hide, that's when I told my big lies. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Like I never lied as much as those years.
Yeah.
Mainly to my parents and to BYU. Sorry.
I love it. Okay, well, let people know where they can find you on social media and your business.
I'm at Mayci Neely. It's MAYCINEELEY on Instagram and TikTok. And then my business is Baby Mama. It's at babymama.co on TikTok and Instagram.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait for season 2 already. I'm like dying to know everything that happens.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on here, opening yourself up to us, like letting us pick your brain and like just understand your religion and your culture more. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for being an open book.
Thank you. I had so much fun.
This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation.